There is a moment in BTS's new music video for Merry-Go-Round that stopped the entire internet in its tracks. And it does not involve fireworks. It does not involve elaborate choreography. It does not involve elaborate sets drenched in color. It is one single shot, Jimin, walking through complete and total darkness. And yet somehow, that 6 seconds became the most talked about visual in the entire video. If you are here right now, you already know something about that moment felt different. You felt something shift when you watched it. You are not imagining it. And in this video, we are going to break down exactly why. But before we get into it, if you are new here, welcome. This channel exists because BTS deserves analysis that goes deeper than surface-level reaction. We do not just tell you what happened. We tell you what it means. So if that is the kind of content you're looking for, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now, because we have a lot more coming your way. And for those of you who have been here, you already know what we are about. Let's get into it. Merry-Go-Round was released on June 19, 2026, and it arrived exclusively on Spotify's K-pop On Hub as part of BTS's ongoing Arirang era. It is the 8th track on the album, and up until the MV dropped, many fans considered it one of the more understated songs in the Arirang tracklist. A trippy, dreamy collaboration born from the creative partnership between BTS and Kevin Parker of Tame Impala. Hypnotic, warm, psychedelic. It was the kind of track you felt more than you understood. But then the music video dropped, and everything changed. The visual is shot entirely in black and white. No color, no brightness, just shadow, grain, and the kind of darkness that feels intentional, like the creative team made a conscious choice to strip away everything that could distract you from the emotional weight of what you are watching. And in that stripped-down, monochromatic world, every single element carries meaning. The flickering light that Jungkook stands beneath, the vintage hallway where V sits alone, the industrial backdrop that frames Jin, the storm cloud imagery hovering over Suga, the dramatic beam of light on RM, the galloping horse that appears behind J-Hope. Every shot is deliberate. Every member's scene is a carefully constructed symbol. But there is something about Jimin's scene that hits differently. Something that the fandom immediately recognized as the emotional core of the entire visual. In Jimin's solo scene, he walks through complete darkness. That is it. That is the shot. He walks, slowly and deliberately, through a corridor that appears to have no light at the beginning, and the camera follows him as he moves toward what eventually becomes a close-up. There are no props. There are no dramatic visual gimmicks. It is just ParkJimin walking in the dark. And yet the comment section on that moment alone reads like a collective breakdown. People saying they had to pause and breathe. People saying they replayed it 15 times and cried each time. People saying they could not explain why it affected them so deeply. And that is exactly the conversation we need to have today, because the reason it hits that hard is not random. It is deeply intentional, and it connects to everything BTS has been carrying since before they even went into the military. Let's start with the darkness itself, because that is the first layer of symbolism you need to understand. In the world of Merry-Go-Round, the music video operates on a very specific emotional logic. According to Rolling Stone India's analysis of the MV, the video translates the painful monotony and struggles of everyday experiences into a beautifully textured film. Each member is placed in a space that reflects their inner emotional world. Jungkook's flickering light speaks to instability. Suga's storm cloud speaks to the weight of depression and creative burnout. RM's dramatic light beam speaks to the pressure of being illuminated and watched at all times. And Jimin's darkness, that total, consuming darkness, speaks to something else entirely. It speaks to a journey, not an arrival, not a destination, a journey through something that has no guaranteed end. This is the first thing you need to understand about what Jimin's scene means. He is not standing in the dark. He is not trapped in the dark. He is walking through it. And that distinction matters more than anything. Because the song, Merry-Go-Round, is fundamentally about cycles, about the exhausting, repetitive nature of life's hardships, about feeling like you are moving but going nowhere. The carousel becomes a metaphor for motion without progress. And yet in the middle of that thematic world, Jimin is not standing still. He is walking. He is moving forward, even when the darkness around him is complete. Even when there is no visible destination. Even when the path is unclear. He keeps going. And if you know anything about Jimin as an artist and as a person, you know exactly why he was given this shot. Think about what Jimin has said about his time in the military. Think about the interviews and the Weverse posts, and the moments he has shared with ARMY about what those 18 months away felt like. He has never pretended it was easy. He has never performed strength when what he felt was vulnerability. Jimin has always been the member of BTS most willing to say out loud, in front of everyone, that it was hard. That there were moments where he did not know how to keep going. That the silence of separation from music and from ARMY felt heavier than he expected. And yet here he is, back, walking through the darkness, frame by frame, toward the camera, toward the close-up, toward you. That close-up at the end of his scene is the second layer of symbolism you need to pay attention to. In the MV, the camera does not just observe Jimin from a distance the way it observes some of the other members. It moves toward him, it closes in, it finds his face, and in a visual language that operates almost entirely in abstraction and symbol, that close-up is one of the most intimate and direct moments in the entire video. It is the equivalent of a hand reaching out. It is the equivalent of someone saying, "I see you." And after everything Jimin has been through, after the years of working, creating, serving, waiting, coming back, a close-up like that carries the weight of the entire journey. Now let's talk about the corridor itself, because the spatial symbolism in this MV is doing a tremendous amount of work, and it is worth unpacking carefully. The entire video is built around the idea of a circular, shadow-heavy space that recreates the sensation of being stuck in an unending loop. Multiple members are shown near doors, alone at a doorway, lost in thought. Those doors are one of the MV's most central symbols. They represent the choices we keep making, the walls we keep building, the thresholds we stand at and wonder whether to cross. And in that context, Jimin's corridor, that long, dark hallway he walks through, is not just a physical space. It is a threshold extended. It is the space between one version of yourself and another. It is the in-between that nobody likes to talk about because it is uncomfortable and uncertain, and there is no guarantee of what is waiting on the other side. This connects directly to what the song itself is about. The members of BTS have described Merry-Go-Round as a track that draws from their experiences during mandatory military service, reflecting on emotional cycles, endurance, and the repetition of life's hardest phases. It focuses on the idea of persistence through difficult times and the emotional weight of returning to the same struggles, while still moving forward in a quiet, reflective way. And that is exactly what Jimin's visual represents. Quiet persistence, not the loud, performative strength of someone who has overcome everything, but the quiet, steady movement of someone who is still in the middle of it, still in the corridor, still in the dark, and choosing to walk forward anyway. And here is where it gets even deeper. Because Jimin's scene in this MV does not exist in isolation. It connects to a visual thread that BTS has been weaving for almost a decade. In 2017, Spring Day introduced the merry-go-round as one of the most emotionally loaded symbols in the entire BTS universe. In that video, the carousel represented waiting, longing, grief, the way you can miss someone so completely that the world itself starts to feel like it is going in circles. The yellow chair on the merry-go-round, the Sewol fairy references, the sense of loss that was so raw and so specific that ARMY felt it in their bones, even without fully understanding the context. And now, 9 years later, merry-go-round brings back that carousel, but it transforms it. Instead of a symbol of grief, it becomes a symbol of endurance. Instead of representing what you have lost, it represents what you keep carrying. And Jimin, walking through that darkness, is the living embodiment of that transformation. Let's pause here for a second and ask you something. If you are watching this right now and you have felt that feeling that the MV captures, that feeling of moving forward even when you cannot see where you are going, even when the weight of everything around you feels like it might slow you down, then let us know in the comments. Tell us what moment in this MV hit you the hardest. Because this video was not made in a vacuum. It was made by 7 men who spent years away from the thing they love most, who came back and created something this raw and this honest, and it deserves to be met with that same level of honesty from the people watching it. Now back to Jimin specifically, because there is another dimension to his scene that most analyses have missed, and we are going to go there. It is the dimension of what his darkness says about who Jimin is as a performer and as an artist in the context of the full MV. Look at what every other member has in their shot. Jungkook has light flickering above him. V has a hallway that has visible architectural detail. Jin has an industrial backdrop, texture, structure, something to be framed against. RM has a dramatic beam of light cutting through the space. J-Hope has the horse imagery, which is bold and kinetic and symbolically rich. Suga has the storm cloud, which is dark. Yes, but it is also visually striking and externally imposed. And Jimin has nothing but himself in the dark. No props, no dramatic lighting, no external symbol to be framed against. Just him, in darkness, moving. What this says about Jimin's artistic identity is not subtle. It says that he does not need anything else. It says that his presence is the symbol, that his walk is the meaning, that there is enough depth in a single human being moving through darkness, in Jimin moving through darkness, to carry the entire emotional weight of a scene without any additional visual support. And for anyone who has watched Jimin perform over the years, who has watched him hold an entire stage with nothing but his body and his intention, who has watched him make an audience cry in the first 8 counts of a performance before a single lyric has been sung, none of this is surprising. It is confirmation of something ARMY has always known. ParkJimin does not need a backdrop. He is the backdrop. There is also a layer of meaning in the connection between Jimin's scene and the MV's closing image, that enormous merry-go-round, floating in the sky, spinning above what looks like a vast, endless ocean. This is the image the entire video builds toward. The circular room, the repeated imagery, the doors, the shadow-heavy corridors, all of it leads to this final revelation that the structure the members have been inhabiting, the loop they have been living inside, is not just a room. It is a world. A small world spinning in the middle of something vast and unmappable. And the members are on it together. They are not escaping it. They are not fighting it. They are together on the ride. And that final imagery frames everything about Jimin's walk through the dark. Because if the merry-go-round is the world, and the world is in motion, then Jimin walking through the corridor is not about escaping the cycle. It is about choosing to move within it. About finding a direction, even when the ride never stops. About not waiting for the world to pause before you take a step forward. The darkness he walks through is not a trap. It is not a punishment. It is the honest terrain of a life being lived in full, with all of its uncertainty, all of its repetition, all of its cycles. And Jimin walking through it is the most precise visual representation of what this entire era has been about for BTS. The MV also opens with a title card that reads, "You Never Walk Alone." 3 words that ARMY will recognize from the very DNA of BTS's history, from the Wings chapter, from the Young Forever album, from years of BTS telling their fans that loneliness is real and companionship is the answer to it. But in the context of merry-go-round, those 3 words land differently. Because in the MV, the members begin in their separate spaces, separate corridors, separate hallways, separate rooms. And then they come together. The video unfolds as each member, living their own life, gathers in one space. They pass through each other's time, share what they have accumulated and reconnect. And at the end, the revelation is that they have been in the same world the whole time. They were never walking alone. They just could not see each other yet. Jimin's walk in the dark is the visual representation of that moment before the reunion. The moment when you are moving forward, and you do not know where you are going, and you have not found the others yet, and the only thing keeping you going is the belief that there is something on the other side of this darkness worth walking toward. That is what that shot captures. That is why it broke the internet. That is why ARMY could not explain why they were crying, but they were crying. Because the fandom has been that version of Jimin. Every person who has ever waited for something, for someone, for themselves, has lived inside that corridor. And watching him walk through it in black and white, slowly and deliberately, is like watching your own unnamed feelings finally get a face. If you have not watched the Merry-Go-Round MV yet, it is available exclusively on Spotify for premium users on the K-Pop On Hub. It is 3 minutes and 49 seconds of some of the most intentional visual storytelling BTS has produced in the era, and it deserves to be watched in the dark, with headphones, without interruption. This is the 4th official MV from the Era campaign, following Swim 2.0 and Hooligan, and in many ways it feels like the emotional heart of the entire visual project. Not the most dramatic, not the loudest, but the one that gets closest to the truth of what it actually feels like to be human and exhausted and still going anyway. We also want to take a second to acknowledge the creative partnership behind this MV. Merry-Go-Round was written by Sam Homey, Sarah Aarons, Kevin Parker, RM, Suga, J-Hope, Derek Milano, and Dog. Kevin Parker of Tame Impala brings a signature dreamlike psychedelic production to the track, warm, hypnotic, with that old-school feel that Parker is known for, but the MV transforms that sonic comfort into a moody, introspective space. It feels less like a music video in the traditional sense, and more like a short film. Like a late-night conversation with a friend who finally admits they are struggling. And there is something about that honesty, that willingness to not perform happiness or resolution, that makes it one of the most significant visual works of the entire Arirang era. It also matters enormously that this MV was released during Festa 2026, BTS's annual celebration of their debut anniversary. 13 years. 13 years since 7 young men stood on a stage and began something that would change the landscape of global music. And in that context, the symbolism of Jimin walking through darkness takes on one more layer of meaning. Because for the last several years, Festa has been bittersweet. There have been Festa celebrations that happened without all 7 members in the same place, without the ability to celebrate together fully. And now, in 2026, all 7 are back. All 7 walked through their own version of that corridor, their own 18 months or more of darkness, of separation, of patience, and they came out the other side. And they made this video. Together. That is the symbolism behind Jimin's scene in the Merry-Go-Round MV. It is not just about one man walking in the dark. It is about the walk all 7 of them took. It is about every army who waited. It is about the quiet courage of choosing to keep moving when you cannot see what is ahead. It is about what it means to not walk alone, even in the moments when the path is invisible. Before we close out, we want to hear from you. What was the moment in this MV that stopped you completely? Was it Jimin's walk? Was it the final shot of the merry-go-round floating above the ocean? Was it the opening words, "You never walk alone"? Drop it in the comments below, because this video is too layered and too rich for us to be the only ones talking. This is a conversation that ARMY has already been having online, and we want this channel to be part of it. And if you found this analysis valuable, if this gave you something to think about that you had not considered before, then please share it. Share it with the ARMY in your life who watched this MV and could not explain why they were emotional. Share it with people who are just getting into BTS and need to understand why the fandom reacts the way we do to a man walking quietly through the dark. Because sometimes the most powerful thing art can do is make the invisible visible. And in Merry-Go-Round, BTS did exactly that. Subscribe if you have not yet. Like this video if it added something to your understanding of this MV. And we will see you in the next one, because there is still so much more to say about this era, and we are just getting started.